The first infected type is the common infected. These are the zombie hordes of Left 4 Dead. Fast, aggressive, sensitive to loud noise and movement, and dangerous because they attack in ravenous waves, instead of one by one. Visually, they still look close to ordinary civilians, and that is part of why they feel so unsettling. They are not fantasy monsters. They are the outbreak itself. In combat, their main strength is momentum. One or two are manageable, but a full horde can trap survivors, interrupt reloads, block movement, and turn a safe route into a death tunnel. The best way to beat them is to keep moving, avoid unnecessary alarms, use choke points, and shove them back before they fully surround the team. A good curiosity is that the common infected may look basic, but they are the foundation of the whole game. Without them, the special infected would not feel nearly as dangerous. Smoker. The next infected is the smoker. Thin, twisted, and constantly trailing smoke. The smoker is built around one of the smartest abilities in the game: long-range separation. It works best from rooftops, ledges, or hidden angles, where it can fire its tongue, grab a survivor, and drag them away from the team. That makes it one of the most dangerous infected in Left 4 Dead, because the entire game is built around staying together. In combat, the smoker does not win by brute force. It wins by turning one survivor into a rescue mission. The best way to beat it is to check high ground, keep line of sight on teammates, and kill it fast, before the dragged player gets pulled into a worse position. The real hook of the smoker is that it punishes carelessness more than weak aim. One good pull can start a total collapse. Boomer. The next infected is the boomer. Fat, slow, and disgusting. The boomer looks almost absurd at first, but it is one of the most disruptive infected in the series. Its special attack is thick bile, and that bile does two things at once. It blinds survivors and attracts hordes of infected. That means the boomer does not just attack health, it attacks control. One clean vomit can turn an organized team into a panicked mess in seconds. And even when it dies, it explodes, spraying bile on anyone standing too close. The best way to defeat a boomer is to kill it from range and avoid bursting it right on top of the group. Because if it gets close in a tight room, even a successful kill can still punish the team. A great curiosity is that the boomer perfectly represents Left 4 Dead design. It does not look powerful, but it can ruin an entire run by changing the situation around the survivors. Hunter. The next infected is the hunter. Faster, fiercer, and much more dangerous than the common infected. The hunter is one of the most iconic predators in the game. Its entire body language is built around aggression, crouched posture, sudden movement, and explosive leaps. In combat, the hunter's job is simple and brutal. It pounces on a survivor, pins them to the ground, and tears into them until someone else intervenes. That makes it a punishment machine for teams that get split up or react too slowly. The best way to deal with a hunter is to pay attention to its scream, clear rooftops and corners, and stay close enough to teammates that a pounce never becomes a free kill. A good curiosity is that the hunter is one of the best examples of how Left 4 Dead uses sound as fear. Many players recognize the threat from its audio cue before they ever see it. Tank. The next infected is the tank. The tank is not just another special infected. It is a full event, mutated almost entirely for brute force. It charges through damage, smashes survivors aside, and can throw chunks of concrete to stun and pressure the team. The official description of the tank is basically one strategy: find the survivors, pummel them to death, repeat. And that simplicity is exactly what makes it terrifying. In combat, the tank changes everything. A normal fight becomes a scramble for space, focus fire, and survival. Healthy survivors could run slightly faster than it, which is why the best way to defeat a tank is to kite it, avoid tight areas, use obstacles, and never let it corner the team. A great curiosity is that tank encounters often become the most memorable moment of a campaign, because no other infected changes the mood of the game so instantly. Witch. The next infected is the witch. Unlike the others, the witch does not feel like a hunter. She feels like a warning. She is usually found alone, crying softly, and she only wants to be left alone. But she hates flashlights, loud noises, and especially being shot. If she becomes angry, the growl is the last warning, before she attacks. That is what makes her so unique in combat. The best way to defeat a witch is usually not to fight her at all. The safest play is to turn off flashlights, move carefully, and sneak around her whenever possible. Because once she is triggered, the encounter becomes one of the deadliest in the game. A great curiosity is that the witch creates fear through restraint. The tank forces action. The witch forces silence. Just hearing her sobs is enough to make an entire team slow down and rethink the route. Spitter. The next infected is the Spitter. Introduced in Left 4 Dead 2, the Spitter adds area denial to the infected lineup. Thin, warped, and corroded looking, it attacks by spitting a corrosive ball of acid that coats the ground in a damaging puddle. That ability is deadly because it punishes survivors for doing what they normally want to do: group up in safe spots and hold tight spaces. In combat, the Spitter is not about direct damage from claws or grabs. It is about forcing movement. It blocks paths, denies corners, and becomes much more dangerous when another infected has already pinned or dragged someone. Jatsers into the acid. The best way to defeat a Spitter is to move immediately out of the puddle, avoid clumping together, and kill it at range before it can turn a choke point into a trap. A great curiosity is that the Spitter became one of the best combo infected in the series, because acid under a trapped survivor turns a bad situation into a fatal one. Jockey. The next infected is the Jockey. Also added in Left 4 Dead 2, the Jockey is small, fast, and deeply unsettling. Instead of just pinning a survivor in place, it leaps onto their head and steers them away from the team, into danger, or behind obstructions. That loss of control is what makes it so memorable. The Jockey does not just damage the body, it hijacks movement itself. Survivors have only limited control while being ridden, and the best antidote is a shove from a teammate. That means the best way to beat a Jockey is fast group reaction. Stay close, clear it immediately, and do not let it drag someone into acid, off a path, or into the range of another infected. A great curiosity is that the Jockey feels cruel in a very specific way. Most infected attack by force. The Jockey attacks by humiliation and disorientation. Charger. The final infected is the Charger. With one grotesquely oversized arm, the Charger is basically an infected battering ram. It was designed to scatter survivors who play too tightly together. And that is exactly what it does. It rushes forward, knocks people aside, grabs one target, carries them away from the team, and then smashes them into the ground. In combat, the Charger is one of the most violent split makers in the franchise. It does not need subtlety. It creates impact, separation, and instant panic. The best way to beat it is to avoid lining up in narrow spaces, sidestep its charge when possible, and punish it hard if it misses. If it does grab someone, the rescue has to happen immediately, because every second on the ground adds free damage. A great curiosity is that the Charger feels like the midpoint between a special infected and a mini tank. Not as unstoppable as the tank, but built around the same idea of explosive physical force. So that is every main infected in Left 4 Dead. The common infected overwhelm. The smoker isolates. The boomer triggers chaos. The hunter punishes separation. The tank crushes through brute force. The witch forces silence and caution. The spitter controls space. The jockey steals movement. And the Charger destroys formation. Put together, they are the reason. Left 4 Dead still has one of the smartest and most memorable zombie systems in gaming.